Welcome to the Krista Escamilla Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Krista Escamilla Show, and I hope that life is treating you well. It is the last part of the year, so I'm wishing you the best part of 2023. I hope you finish strong and all is well in your world. We want to thank, first of all, before we introduce our amazing guests, we want to thank our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be able to share these incredible stories of West Texans. So a special thank you to Kevin Foreman of Foreman Financial, also to Tapestry Hotel Midland, Rig ID Workwear, Thin FR, Midland Cap Company, and JoinCapClub.com. Support those local businesses however you see fit. It is almost oil show time, and we're so excited to introduce our guest today. He is the current president of the 2023 Permian Basin International Oil Show, Mr. Larry Richards. Thanks so much for being with us, Larry.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
This is so much fun because I've wanted to interview you for years, and we're finally getting to do it, and so I cannot wait to share your story. You also have been the president and CEO of Highbond, which I know many of you here in West Texas have done business with Highbond through the years, and Van Zant, more recently, the president and CEO of Van Zant. So thanks again for being here to share your story. How did you get involved in the oil and gas business?
Oh, wow. That was a long time ago. My first stint, I was a roustabout in the engineer training program for Sun Oil in 1984, 1985, and did that for 2 summers, and have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys that work in the field.
I bet.
I've never worked so hard in my life. We made good money, but we earned every penny of it. But also never laughed as much during the job. In the back of that gang truck, it was just a lot of camaraderie and a lot of fun, but you learned a lot. It was a great program.
I think that's awesome. I think everyone should work in the field at least once, right?
Agreed.
Then from there, what was your journey next?
I got a chance to spend the first decade of my career with a company called Continental Emsco, and we were the second largest rig manufacturer in the United States. We did drilling rigs, well servicing rigs, and then also did all types of production equipment and even offshore mooring systems. And then we had about 200 supply stores across the U.S.
Wow.
And I had some fantastic mentors at that over the years that taught me a lot, not just about the different types of equipment and their applications in the field, but taught me a lot about business and about leadership and what it takes to lead a team of people in some pretty trying, technical obstacles and environmental obstacles, that you're dealing out there in the field. But it was a great experience. And then I got a chance when they sold to their largest competitor. They were going to buy National Oil Well in 1998, and oil price dropped, and a year later National Oil Well bought them, and that gave me an opportunity to make a change, and I came out here to West Texas with Key Energy. I'd actually moved out with Emsco to run a new startup well servicing division for them, and had a chance to rebuild a lot of well servicing rigs and build some new ones out here in Odessa, and then had gone back to Houston when the market went down. Came back out here with Key for 3 years, and just had 3 fantastic years at Key Energy. It was a neat opportunity, and then I got a chance to run my own business, to run a business that I'd always wanted to do.
Is that Highbond?
And that was Highbond Engineering.
Yeah, I remember fondly when you started that. That's
2003.
Yes.
It was really exciting. I'd always wanted a chance to run my own business, and the owner of that business had made the decision he wanted to step back, and at age 65 and spend more time, doing the things he loved, and needed somebody to come in and run it. And I got an opportunity to do that and build it up first with that he is a partner in that initial group, and we sold to a private equity group, and then I got a chance to build it up with that private equity group for another group of years. But over a 12-year stint, we averaged over 30% growth a year.
Wow,
took
that's
it from,
incredible.
I don't know, 4-5 million revenue to about 75, and became a real neat leader in our niche. And I got a chance to Over the years, this industry has given me so many neat opportunities, but I've traveled to about everywhere it's legal for a U.S. citizen to go that has oil underneath it. The good Lord chose to put oil under some pretty inhospitable places, so
Yes,
I've been a few field locations that were a little rough, but it's just been fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What an incredible journey you've had. And I have to ask the question because I know everybody right now is thinking, how did you get that kind of growth? What is the key to that type of growth within an oil and gas company?
Oh, it's a good question, and I think it's so focused on the people and building the right team, and really honoring them and treating them, with dignity and respect and giving them opportunities. We always tried to give people the autonomy to make decisions, give them the training, give them the boundaries and all the things, but let them make decisions, and then give them an opportunity to make really good money and hope that they are, financially incredibly successful with your business. And don't change the rules when they start making some money.
Yeah.
So many of our competitors, would when somebody really started making money, whether commission programs or whatever, then they would retrade the deal. And we didn't do that, and it got out that we didn't do that. And all of a sudden, the best people in the industry are wanting to come to work for you. Yeah. And then when we had Van Zandt, I told the folks that acquired Highbond I would stay for a year. They decided to do something different with their business and took it in a complete different direction than what they'd said. And that they weren't dishonest. They just really did have a different opportunity. And so I made the decision. I'd committed to stay a year, and I honored that. But then when I left, I had a bunch of non-competes in that area. So I looked at 36 companies out here in the Permian over an 18-month period and found this really neat company. Lance Van Zandt was Entrepreneur of the Year for West Texas that year, and met Lance, and we decided, hey, we could bring a team and really scale this business. What he's doing is cool, and he's just an amazing guy.
And what does he do? What does Van Zandt do?
We focused on automated valves, flow measurement, and instrumentation, and really tried to stay in that niche. But then we also looked at ways we could reduce emissions. So anywhere that automated valves were venting to the atmosphere, anywhere that any kind of pneumatics were, we built automated air skids. But really tried to do some of the stuff we'd done at Highbond in reducing methane emissions to the atmosphere that I had a lot of experience in. We did it with different products in a completely different applications, but it was real successful for us at Van Zandt, and then the team just did a fantastic job, and he had already built it amazingly in the 2 years since he literally started in his garage.
Wow.
And had built it to a $6 million revenue business in 2 years.
Wow,
and
that's incredible.
With 9 people. And he had MSAs with these major oil companies. I'm like, how on earth? Nobody was getting an MSA. How did you as a startup? But they had faith in him. Out of your garage. When we were doing due diligence and I was calling customers, one of the customers I called said the first time Lance pulled up when he just started his new business, and some of these automated valves are big. You've got a large valve, and then you've got an actuator, electric actuator on top, and he pulled up in a minivan with the automated valve strapped into the baby seat, and the customer's like, I'm telling you, Lance, you can't be coming on my location with the valve strapped in a baby seat. And Lance's like, no, it's going to work great. It's going to do exactly. And it did. It worked great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it did exactly what he said. But he had built this really cool business. And but he was working 18 hours a day with a young family. And so we came in. He needed
your help. He needed a team.
A great group of people that helped each in their own area, and were fantastic, and we were able to grow it to a little over $50 million in revenue in a little less than 5 years, and everybody did well, and our investor group did well.
All right, knuckle bumps for you guys. That's awesome,
we were very
Larry.
blessed, and mostly our customers. They were, it was very humbling to have customers give you an opportunity for a brand new company.
Yeah.
Because that's not easy for them to add you to the vendor list, and it was just really, really humbling, and to allow us to try new products on their locations that had never been put in that application before. But when they work, everybody wins, and everybody makes more money, and so it worked out really well.
All right, now I'm asking the second question everybody at home is thinking, because you grew another company up to $50 million. How did you get to open those doors? Being a small company, right, out of the garage, how did you open those doors into those big companies and get to walk in and show those amazing products? Because I think that's, a lot of people have a vision, a lot of people have a great product, but they don't know how to get in the big doors.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think you've got to differentiate yourself. Pick to something that's a niche and do it really well.
Yeah.
And really focus on the service element after the fact. So many companies want to sell something and go, oh, we don't do service. Well, that doesn't work in the Permian Basin. If
it's true.
If it's, in the middle of Jal, New Mexico, and it's not working, it doesn't matter how, whose fault it is. It's not working. And all of a sudden they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of production that's down. And so that service element, I think, is really critical.
Yeah.
The other thing, and probably more important than anything, I've worked my whole career to honor God every step of the way and put Him first, and it's amazing. Doors open and hearts open, and you get a chance, and then when you get that chance, you got to be a good steward of it.
Yeah.
And when you screw up, you raise your hand and go, hey, we screwed up, and you own it, and you roll up your sleeves, and you do your best to fix it and not make the same mistake twice. But a lot of companies don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you said that,
Right.
because when you do make, and you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, if you're a business owner, as one, I know you're going to make mistakes, and it's not that you want to, not that
Sure.
these things just happen, but when they do, you need to own up to it and make it right.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you're dealing with humans and equipment, there's going to be problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not worried about machines and AI taking over everything in the onshore oil and gas industry anytime soon, because every day, you run into things you wouldn't have dreamed of
Right.
48 hours before. But it's an opportunity, if you handle it the right way, you can build those relationships over time.
Yeah.
And it's not a click. It's not a, gee, I've got to do this or that to get in. It's a matter of earning that trust of your customer, and then, doing your absolute best to be a good steward of that trust every day. And if you do that 9 times out of 10, then you surround yourself with the right people.
Right.
And when it's not the right person, that's a great thing about this country. They can work wherever they want. You can let them go, and send them to go find something they really have a passion for.
Yeah, because you want them to be happy too.
Yeah, exactly. If they're not a great fit, then do it the right way and give them an opportunity to turn around. But sometimes you got to make hard decisions, and because somebody's not playing well with the rest of the team. But if you make those decisions early on and you build that team, we always said at Van Zant, we don't do drama at Van Zant. We work hard, we have a lot of fun, but we don't have time for drama. If you bring a lot of drama, this isn't the place for you.
That is a great role. That's a great role.
And when things come up, you can remind people of that and go, remember, we don't do drama.
We don't do drama here.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, because I feel, and maybe it's our age, right? I feel like when you go to work, you go to work to work. Like,
Sure.
That's it. You don't bring any of the outside stuff in, right? And so I think that's a great role, though, to say up front, be like, we just don't do drama here. And, we understand you have a personal life, right? But that should be taken care of outside of the business, right?
Right.
Of course, there's exceptions to the rules, but the drama part,
Yeah.
no drama.
And then you can deal with the exceptions, but the
Yeah.
exception shouldn't be every day.
That's like me. I say there's no politics. Like, I don't
Right.
want to talk politics on the podcast or anywhere, really,
think
for that
that's a
matter.
good rule as
We
well.
go to dinner. I don't want to talk
Right.
politics. I don't want to talk. You have to have those certain rules within your business. I think is important for it to be authentic to you.
Sure.
And so I love that. What about mentors? You said you've had some great mentors over the years. Has there been anyone that really gave you a piece of advice or something that you think that everyone should hear? Because we have a lot of people new to West Texas watch our show, but then we also have a lot of people like us that have been here a long time. That mentor may just have given you that one little piece of advice that changed your life here.
I tell you, I've had a lot. I've been just so blessed all the way back to Billy Barton and different people at MSCO to throughout my career. I've just been very blessed in that regard. But I'll probably share a story rather than a particular, because I can't think of a particular quote. But like when Continental MSCO, I recommended they buy a company in Odessa called Gregory Rig Service. They were the best in the country at refurbishing rigs, and I felt we could scale it, and we did, and had some success in that before the market cratered $15 a barrel in 1998 or something.
I was going to say, is this 98-ish?
Yeah, but when we bought that company, Woody Gregory had run it forever and was one of my great mentors, and I just loved him. We lost him a couple of years ago. He passed away. But my deal with Woody was, for 6 months or whatever, he'd come in. You tell me, one day a week, whatever. And we did one day a week. He would come in, And I'd buy the coffee, and I'd have the coffee ready, and he's like, well, I'll be there at 6. I'm like, okay, great, we'll meet at 6. But we would, whatever rigs were in the shop, we would start on one corner, and we'd walk around that rig, and he'd tell me everything about that rig, and including what parts were going to break. These are the weak points, on a Taylor 500 rig, these were things. And then when we got all the way around it, then we'd do it a second time, but I would tell him, second time I'm going to tell you everything I think you told me. And I'd get about, 2/3 of it mostly right, and he would be very gracious and go, no, that's not what I said. It's this bearing or this underbearing, whatever. But we did that over a period of a year. We did that on every type of well servicing rig in the country. And so later in my career, I had people go, wow, you're just amazing on all these different rigs. Well, it's because Woody had invested that time in me to do that. And I think a lot of time, and I asked him to do it. And I think that's the key with a lot of young people. You need to ask people, I'd appreciate if you would mentor me, because most people that are my age would love to help people up the road that we traveled, and
Absolutely.
Want you not to have the same scars that we did.
Right.
And
learn a little bit from the experience. Of course, you're going to learn more even, from your own experience. But if you can pass something on to someone that's going to help them, not have that fail or not have
Sure.
that mistake made, yeah.
And
I love that.
It's an opportunity for them to get back to the industry and everything else. And I think a lot of younger leaders are anxious about asking that. Particularly women are anxious about asking that. And I think you've got to get over that and say, there's a lot of wealth of experience, and the day they announce they're leaving, they're gone.
Right.
But to take advantage of that and try and find. We used to mentor a lot of people, on young entrepreneurs on the balance sheet. A lot of people can manage a P&L, but they can't manage a balance sheet to save their life. And a lot of startup companies are the same way. Even when they're wildly successful, they run out of cash because they don't understand how the balance sheet works.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different elements that people in your company know how to do. Ask them for help.
Yeah.
And that way that continuing education is more than just what project you're on.
Good advice. Good advice. We do something called Quote of the Day, because I love quotes, Larry. And so we want to see, go ahead and we're going to mix these up a little, pull one out and read it. If you can't read it, I'll read it for you because my writing is horrible.
Unique.
You got the unique card. Awesome. Okay, read the quote on the other side.
Never let anyone steal your joy.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Very cool.
What does that quote mean to you?
I think it's what it means to me is you surround your people that help make you the best version of yourself. And there's always people that are going to see the most negative of any situation. And if you allow yourself to be pulled into that vortex, it's real easy. It's the easy path,
right?
And to step away from that, especially when times are tough, because you're going to have tough times. It's just part of life. You're going to, in business, you're going to run into some rocky deals that you don't know what the path out looks like. When you're standing in the middle of it. But trust the people around you. Trust the good Lord above, and do your best and give it everything you got. And it's amazing. 9 times out of 10. Solutions, things work out and everything else, but you can definitely, there's always people sitting on the fence that what they call, the chattering class that just, they're not going to sit in this room but tear things down.
Yeah.
And it's a whole lot easier to tear things down than to build them. But spend your time building, and it'll be a lot more, I think, enjoyable. You're going to spend a huge part of your waking life working, but if you can spend that doing something you love or surrounding yourself with people you really care about while you're doing something that may be unpleasant, however that works. We all got to make money, you got to make a living, but if you can try to not let people steal that joy within you. I think it is important. So cool quote.
Yeah, I like it. And I say, don't worry about the chattering class. You know what? Let them chatter.
That's
Just
right.
don't listen. Don't listen to the chatter. What is that? There's a great Theodore Roosevelt quote about being in the arena. It's like, if you're not in there, if you're not getting your face, blood, sweat, tears. I mean, don't worry about the ones that aren't even stepping in the arena. So
yeah, it's
there you
real
go.
easy to sit in the stands and point at the ones that are out there swinging.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love that. Do you have a quote that you've lived by that has really helped you throughout your years?
Oh wow. you know, I've got a bunch of different ones that have meant a lot to me. One that sticks with me in trying to do, you know, projects or just achieve things that seem, you know, other people are telling you can't be done. There's one from Margaret Mead where she says, never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Actually, it's the only thing that ever has.
Oh.
And I think that's pretty thoughtful.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Let's talk a little bit about the Permian Basin International Oil Show, because I know that you're excited. This is, you now have retired. Happy retirement.
Thank you.
How many years in the industry?
35, 36.
You deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people in work years, though, based on a 40-hour work week, I'm 137. So it's
so you definitely deserve
few
this.
hours, yeah.
You've put a few hours in,
Yeah.
and then some. Well, congratulations, because I know that, you know, that is what we all aspire to someday. And you have done just such a, you know, you've had such an amazing career here in the oil and gas industry, and building two wonderful companies and selling them, and being able to really live that American dream here.
Mm-hmm.
What like is your final last hurrah? You're doing the president of the oil show. What do you kind of want this last little hurrah to be? Like, what are you looking for in this last oil show that you're a part of?
Yeah, well, I'm so excited about the oil show, and I've been involved with the oil show for 20 years, and I've been an exhibitor for 20 years. But this oil show is so special because it captures this entrepreneurial spirit that we have in West Texas that is so unique, and Southeast New Mexico, but here in the Permian, with the grit that it takes to actually put it in the field and make it work.
Right.
And that's, you know, our theme this year is where innovation and technology meet Permian grit, including the definition of grit of a small, you know, particle of loose sand, you know, that we get some of that in the spring too.
I love the play on words there, Larry. That's good. That's good.
But you know, most of my early career, all the innovation was happening either offshore or in the international market. And I spent a ton of time offshore Brazil, offshore Norway, offshore UK, in the Gulf of Mexico, and then all these big international projects. That's where the innovation was. And in the last 10 years, 90% of the major innovations that have changed our industry worldwide have happened within 100 miles of Ector County Coliseum.
Wow.
They're happening here. This is the epicenter of innovation for our industry. From, you know, Henry Petroleum figuring out that you could go down a mile and laterally 2 miles and fill it with a football field of sand and create a porous formation where one didn't exist before. And you're drilling it in a formation that my dad thought was depleted in the 60s, and you're coming in with 1,000 barrel oil a day well.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
It is
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
It's just phenomenal, the technology that's done this. But those wells have all kinds of technical challenges that we've never had before. They come in hot, they come in hard, they got tons of sand. It's like a sandblaster blowing this, you know, high pressure production up, you know, and so it's just, you've got the completion equipment, production equipment that has to adapt to that. And so this whole new generation of equipment's being developed, and all these other basins around the U.S. and all over the world are looking for these same kind of formations so they can double their reserves.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
And when they find them, they can either spend the first decade destroying all their equipment like we did out here,
or
they can leapfrog 10 years ahead
Yeah.
and say, wow, this innovation, you know, is going to be able to handle all that sand coming out, or keep it in the formation in the first place. Don't even trick it out where it's not ever coming up to the surface, which is where you want it.
Right.
And so there's been so much innovation, and there's not a better showcase of it in the world than here at this Permian Basin International Oil Show. You know, we
That's
got
awesome.
25 acres, 700 exhibitors, and it's just a phenomenal grouping of the latest and all the latest emissions reduction technologies, of using all the stranded gas that's everywhere around the world to now do, you know, we did all the small stuff with Van Zandt, and they're still doing some amazing stuff on how to reduce, you know, emissions at a tank bed and stuff. But this show, you've got the big iron, you know, huge 2,500 horsepower frac tanks, and, you know, 5,000 horsepower frac tanks that are now using almost all natural gas, you know, 80% natural gas, you know, and we've never been able to do that before because diesel is such an energy dense fuel. You need a diesel to run these big, huge, high horsepower engines. Well, now that technology's evolved, and they're using all the stranded gas to do that.
Wow.
And big, huge, you know, Warren Cat's going to have a 2,500 horsepower gen set that'll do natural gas out in the field to give clean power to all these places that don't have power. Or what we have a lot of in the Permian, you get power surges, called dirty power.
Okay.
But it can wreak havoc on all your real sophisticated electronic components. So, you can use natural gas and do genset and create your own power out in the field.
Okay.
But they're now doing it with, this massive equipment. And we've got a ton of that at the show, down to, really cool leveling tech, to stuff that's being driven by algorithms and AI logic. And it's it's a really, really neat mix of the latest technologies that are being, used to unlock these big, tight shale formations,
Right.
Which is why we're expecting over 20,000 attendees
Whew.
all over the United States. We got ones coming in from all over the world for this show, because
That's amazing.
they want to be able to put their hands on it. And they call it a
Right.
working man's oil show. I'll put that tongue in cheek, because there's as many very sharp working women in the oil and gas industry in
Thank
the
you.
Permian. There is, period.
Thank you for noting that, Larry. There's some amazing women
Some
in
of my
this business.
best customers at both Highbond and Van Sant were incredibly talented, young, and not, so young women engineers that had come out of LSU and OU and Colorado School of Mines that got degrees I never would have had a shot at getting with my skill set. But you've got, these groups that are coming in from all over to be able to get. Oh, and back to my point, it's considered a working man show, because we focus on equipment that's proven in the field. It's not a science project. It's not a
Right.
white paper.
Is proven.
It's proven.
Yeah.
It's been out in 100-degree
Yeah.
temperature in the summer, and negative degree in the winter, and had rattlesnakes crawling through it, and it still works.
Right.
And so they can come out, they can actually buy it, they can take it, have it shipped back to wherever their field is and put it to work the next week. So
That's incredible.
It's just it's a neat opportunity for customers to be able to come do that.
Right. Absolutely. And what are the dates? The dates are October.
October 17th through the 19th.
Okay. And how do they get a pass or?
So it's open to anyone that's in the oil and gas industry. It's free of charge. Parking's free of charge. We put together a bunch of videos on our website. It's pbioilshow.org. That anything from registration to parking to how to get their food tickets, they can click on a little 2-minute video and it'll walk them through it.
Perfect.
But pre-registration's super easy. They just log on, they put in their information, and when they get to the show, they can print out a tag,
Great.
walk in.
Awesome.
It's just, we've tried to make it as smooth and easy. We know everybody's time is super valuable,
Right.
and we want them to be able to get to the show quickly. We got overflow parking. We got it at the Coliseum. We got it right down the street, and then we got overflow parking in Ratcliffe Stadium.
Okay.
That we have big air-conditioned buses running every 20 minutes, so people
Oh,
can
that's
park,
great.
just hop on a bus, be at the show, in 10 minutes, and when they're ready to go, do the same thing.
Right.
But we've tried to make it easy, because so many of the oil and gas companies and big service companies, they don't just let their people go, they're encouraging their people to go spend a half day or a day.
Right.
Because they're going to see stuff that makes them more efficient or more safe, or drive money to their bottom line.
Yeah, you're going to learn something.
You're going to learn something,
Yeah.
and it's a neat investment in those employees' time. We just encourage all the companies, take the time to actually send a notice to your employees, making sure they know that they can go to the show,
Right.
and coordinate it. Because for the field guys, our market's out here is either going straight up or straight down.
Right.
Now it's straight up, but when it's straight up, they've got a bunch of projects to do. When it's straight down, they don't want to look like they're not busy. So we're always asking the oil company executives, please shoot a note out to all your folks and say, we want you to attend the show. You're really going to get huge value of it, and I'm absolutely convinced, it's the best value they can spend for a half day or a day of their employees' time.
I love that. We're sitting here today in Midland, Texas, visiting with the president of the 2023 Permian Basin International Oil Show, Mr. Larry Richards. Larry has shared his story. We've talked oil and gas show now, and of course the business. I have to ask you, I've got so many questions actually. I'm thinking, don't forget to ask him this. I want to know, first of all, what is the one piece of technology that you have seen change, or just the innovations through the years that you feel is like a game changer, like the one where you're like, oh wow, this technology has really changed our industry? Is there one?
Wow. I think there's several. I think I'll pick two.
Okay.
Just because I think they're cool. One is the complete automation and midstreaming of the whole water segment out here. Historically, how you handle produced water, and some of these wells in the Permian, a decade later, they're 90% produced water, 10% oil.
Wow.
Or 95%, produced water. So I had several oil company guys say, we're a water company, that happens to get a little skim oil,
Get a little oil in there too.
but historically we've taken it from trucks, from the terminal, and you truck it to a saltwater disposal well, and then you inject it. And companies found, the only place they could get a 10-to-1 return on their investment is by putting in actual pipelines to move that water. And so now you've got a whole water midstream group that's developed just in the past 10 years.
Wow.
That their business, because they can do it for multiple companies, is put that water all in pipelines, and then stage it in ponds everywhere, to where if a company wants to do a frac, they want to be able to call on 1 million barrels a day of water 24 hours in advance.
Wow.
And say, oh, we were going to do this one, but this happened on that rig, so now we're going to do this one over here.
Yeah.
And move that water that quickly, and how they've been able to automate all of that.
That's automation.
And tie it all into, to transmitters on their pressures and temperatures and everything else, where if all of a sudden pressure spikes, it says, hey, we might have something plugged up in this line. I want to redirect it another way. And if that doesn't work, then I want to shut everything down,
Right.
Then I want to overpressure, or I lose pressure, which means I may have a leak. So I
Yeah.
want to stop everything before I, historically you'd find out you had a leak by having a truck full of guys show up and driving around and go, oh, wow, there's, produced water on the ground.
Right, right.
And how all that has been automated, I think is really cool. I think one of them that's out right now, and I'm not seeing everybody, so I'll brag a little bit on my old company, but Van Zant is doing one with customers where it's an automated wellhead choke, and historically you have a wellhead choke and it's got multiple settings, and so as your well's coming in, the guys can go manually change these settings. What these automated ones allow you to do is, say the compressor station goes down, and normally I'm going to keep producing oil. It's going to have natural gas and water with it, and the natural gas, I can't send it to the compressor station, from the midstream company, because it's down.
Right.
So I'm going to keep producing all my oil, but I'm going to flare all this gas. That's when the big flares go off, and you see, when you're driving south of here and stuff. What this technology allows you to do is say, hey, the whole compressor station didn't go down. 3 of the 10 compressors went down at DCP station, so they're down 30%. So instead of continuing to produce all these wells at maximum and do it, I'm going to choke all my whole field back 30% in line with my takeaway capacity of that natural gas. And the oil's not going anywhere. It's all still in the ground. We're going to produce it. We might not produce it right this minute. And then that flare goes out, because now you're aligned with, and you're maximizing the hydrocarbon capture out of that reservoir. You're not, burning a natural resource that took 20 million years to create, and that now our grandchildren won't get to use, because you just pissed it away on a flare stack. And what's really cool is, because they're so much more efficient in riding the production curve of those wells all the rest of the day based on the pressures and temperatures of that well bore, you actually get equal or better production over a month or a quarter than you would have if you didn't have them at all. So they're making up for that time you had to choke those wells back by making the well more efficient all the rest of the time by riding its production curve, but you're eliminating the flares altogether by actually keeping the hydrocarbons in the ground until you have takeaway capacity that matches them. I think that's just really cool.
That is really cool. Saving time, saving money, saving the environment.
Yeah.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's good, and there's a lot of stuff out there. We lead. Nobody, I don't think most people don't understand, the United States oil and gas industry leads the world in our technology, and the Permian Basin leads the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
And so, when
we're a pretty cool place here, I think.
Well, we're the epicenter of innovation for our little industry, and it's not a real small industry. So.
No, not at all. I want to ask you. You said you've traveled all over the world. What place? We're a unique place. Midland, Odessa is very unique. What other place in the world that serves the oil and gas industry have you found that you were just really enamored by, where you were like, this is pretty cool?
Yeah. You go so many places and it's not what you expect. One that was one of the cooler ones, because it was like going back in time, was Libya.
Okay.
At Highbond, we did a really cool project in Libya. They had a massive couple of flares that had been flaring for decades, you know, and you could see the smoke coming off of them from a satellite. And they were right next to an archaeological site that were thousands of years old. And so they had their first ever environmental project, according to, you know, some of the powers that be in Libya. But it was, we came in and were able to put out those flares completely and make them a ton of money because they were burning so much liquid hydrocarbon, and they could, all the condensate we were capturing, it's like 700 barrels a day of condensate they could blend with their oil and made their pipelines run better because it reduced the viscosity of their oil. But what was so cool was it was like going back in time, you know, because since the Reagan embargo, you know, this country had just stopped, and so, you know, you were going back 50 years in time, except every building had a satellite dish on it, you know?
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
They had ways to reach the internet and different stuff, but it was...
That is crazy.
It was, it was so different than any place I'd ever been, both culturally and actually made some really good friends there. And,
very cool.
And it's I've had a chance to visit a little over 40 countries, most of them through work, and been in the field in a lot of places, some really, you know, cool, some of a little dicey, you know, Colombia.
A little scary. Were you ever scared at any point?
Colombia,
a little scary.
Venezuela towards the end, was a little dicey. But I tell you, you know, all my travels, 95% of the people are just wonderful.
Yeah.
They just want a better life for their family, you
That's
know,
what we
and
all
their kids.
want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's about 5% that aren't worth killing, but that's whether you're in Midland or anywhere else. Those you just, you know,
right.
don't let them steal your joy.
That's right.
Take
Never
you
let
back to
anyone
your
steal your joy. Well, Larry, we are starting to run out of time, which I hate because I had so many more questions. But really quick, I want to ask you, do you have a favorite book that has really influenced your life that you want to share with everybody?
Oh, wow. That would take some thought. I love to read, and I'm a student of history. You know, you mentioned Teddy Roosevelt, my absolute favorite president, and so I've read a couple of different ones.
Have you read the Bill O'Reilly, like Killing Jesus series and Killing? You've read all those?
Roosevelt. Yeah, I haven't read them all, but I read the one on Roosevelt.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay, I've read it.
And I'm trying right now, you know, because I've in trying to understand different cultures and people, you know, because like when I was traveling to Libya and the Middle East, I actually read the Quran. I made it through the Quran, which was a challenge.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But I'm trying to read some of the different stuff from Chinese philosophers right now, and I don't know if I'm going to make it through it. No disrespect to any of your you know, ones for your audience from China, but I don't know if I'm going to make it through. It's just so different in you know, kind of the thought process and stuff. But no, I think that you know, we live in a neat time that we have access to so many different things, and just go out and explore and have fun with it.
That is true. That is so true. We do something where I just like throw out, tell me your favorite this, favorite that, and the first thing that comes to your mind, just say it, okay? Because this is like your last chance to really shout out your favorites here in West Texas, because you now are living in another part of the country, which sounds beautiful, by the way.
Right.
But I know you've been here so long, you have so many favorites. So favorite restaurant. If you and Sandra, hi Sandra, if you and Sandra are going to go out to eat, what is your favorite restaurant? Where are y'all going?
Typically Gerardo's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Love the Mexican food at Gerardo's.
Yeah, it's good
Attaboy,
stuff.
Jerry.
That's right.
Ate at Mulberry Cafe this morning. There you go.
I love Mulberry Cafe.
Yeah,
the
good.
Tomato basil soup is amazing if you haven't tried it yet. Yeah. One of my favorites. Their salads are great. Yeah, good stuff there. Okay, awesome. Favorite coffee shop?
Man, they've changed so many. So many have different Duns. Lori's forever was where you meet everybody for breakfast
Lori's
in Midland.
Cafe,
Yeah,
yes.
Lori's Cafe for decades, and all the field hands would be there as well. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Okay.
But Blueberry, I mean, that Mulberry Cafe.
They have good coffee too.
I met somebody there for coffee this morning, so there you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, favorite, let's see, movie.
Oh my gosh. Outlaw Josie Wells.
Okay. You like history, huh? Yeah.
I like Patton too. Yeah, there you go.
Let's
like
see.
the Gandhi movie that my boys have said they will never watch again with me.
Really? That's funny. And our boys grew up together, and Weston and Austin, and I mean, talk about smart kids, those two. Man, they could read all those books we just talked about, like this, and be done in 5 minutes. But just great kiddos. So I have to say, what's your favorite memory with your family here in West Texas?
Oh, wow. There's so many. And we're so blessed. Both our boys are just fantastic.
They are.
And my wife, God bless her, just it's a miracle. It's a miracle we're here for 25 years for a month, much less a thing. I'll tell you a story whether that's also a memory. When we first moved here, we had a beautiful place. We were young and kind of stupid, and we had this off-white carpet, because that's what you do when you have two young boys, and
right? Absolutely,
dog, and everything else.
You're never going to spill on that white carpet.
and so we're moving in. Sandra's mom had come with us because we had little baby with us, and all of a sudden her and Sandra both are on the back porch just looking out on the horizon. It's one of those dust storms that is a wall of dirt.
Yes.
And I'd traveled out here for almost a decade, so I was familiar, but I'm acting stupid, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that?
Oh, Lubbock's coming to Midland.
And so as this thing comes in, we get hailstorm, and my buddy Woody Gregory told me, how you tell a true West Texas dust storm is after it comes through, you open the refrigerator and you pull out that little light bulb and you thump it twice. If it's at least half full of dirt, that's a true West Texas dust storm. It wasn't that bad, but it was a bad one. And so then halfway through it starts raining, so we have mud balls coming.
Great.
And the movers are tracking trains of dirt in our house. Then it started hailing.
This is all day one?
Day
one.
First afternoon. And I went on the back porch and I'm like, Lord, you need a little help. If we could, just a little before the locusts and the frogs, we could, stop. And in the first 72 hours, we found a scorpion and a bat in our pretty new kindergarten, because we were right on the edge of Grasslands, right next to all that open land and stuff, and it's just a miracle that she had already quit talking to me about Ozona, and then she didn't talk to me at all for about another 6 weeks. But
it's amazing she didn't just pack up right then and there, right?
Yeah, but it's such an amazing community, and the people are just so fantastic, and you can get as involved as you choose to in this community, but there's some incredible ways to give back to the community, and it's been a blessing and a gift for our family.
It really is.
I'm going to change one of my answers.
Yes.
Best book, Max Lucado, Grip of Grace.
Okay,
You've never
haven't read
it?
that. No.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
He's
I'm
one
glad.
of my favorite authors, but I was just thinking, what book have I given to people, and different ones, but that Max Lucado, Grip of Grace, it's a fantastic.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go get that one. I love it. Thank you. I'm so glad that you remembered that one, and you're like, that's the one.
Yep.
Because I love to hear the books of leaders like yourself, of what has really inspired you, because I feel like by us passing it on today, maybe we're kind of helping the next generation.
Sure.
Right? So there you go get that book today. I love that. Favorite, okay, this one's fun. This is just a fun one. Favorite life hack, something that has made your life easier.
Life
A life hack, something that you do that just kind of makes life a little easier, something that has helped you.
Action item list.
An action item list. Okay.
We gave everyone in our company, we would give a book, and give them a nice leather-bound little notebook, because I've never been good at remembering things, but especially as you get older, and
tell me about it.
But the people that will tell you they're going to do something and actually follow through and do it, or if they don't, they call you and say, hey, or text you or whatever and say, hey, I didn't get to that, but I'm working on it, and I'm going to do it, and actually follow through and do it, is about 2 out of 10. Maybe 4 out of 10.
I was really optimistic. I thought you were going to say like 6 out of 10.
But and I'd be the same way, because you get 10 other phone calls, and and then you completely forgot that you truly meant at the time you're going to do this, but it just completely is gone.
No, I believe if you write it down, it's going to happen.
Yeah, keep it in a very a neat, organized way, and but I'm about once out of every 3 or 4 days, even in retirement. Sandra has not let my action item list go away. I got lots of honeydews, but
I love it.
But it's just a way to when you say you're going to do something, to follow through and honor your word.
Yeah.
And I think it's a differentiator in business,
I love it.
and for people's careers, because so many people
Yeah.
don't figure that out until they're my age.
I couldn't agree more. I believe. I mean, I am, and there's a feeling that you get to when you get to scratch something off the list. Like, oh,
True.
did that? Boom.
Yeah.
There's this satisfaction that you took care of it. But I'm with you. I think that makes all the difference. And I try to use mine daily, but I try to incorporate that with our team too. It's like, just write it down. If you write it down, it's not going to get missed, right?
No.
I mean, it still could get missed, but
Yeah.
the chances of it getting missed are lessened.
Yeah,
So.
and if you write it down and put it on a sticky tab with the other 83 things on your desk, it's probably not going to happen.
It's gonna get
either.
lost.
Yeah.
It's gonna get. I trust me. Or it's gonna fall off. Or it's
Right.
gonna end up on the ground. It's gonna end up on someone's shoe,
Yeah.
and then it's gonna end up somewhere else.
Not a good plan.
No, and someone's gonna be walking down Wall Street in Midland, and they're gonna find a sticky note and go, "Oh, someone missed this task,"
No.
So yeah, good idea. Okay, favorite. Oh, this is a good one. Favorite song.
Oh gosh, I'm not even going to answer that. Sandra will kill me, whatever I say. So I don't.
Well, I'm trying to think. I remember we had dinner a long time ago, and I remember talking about music. And was it rock? Who likes rock in your family?
Well, when we were younger, Sandra was definitely, more on the very hard rock, and I was more on the
Okay.
country.
Why do I
And
remember
we,
this?
We,
I remember
we kind
that.
of both melded into each other now. We both softened which edge we were on and kind of come to the, which is how it's supposed to
that's
work
the way
in
it's supposed to
34
be.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, congratulations. 34 years of marriage is amazing. Your wife is
Thank you.
beautiful inside and out. I just love her to pieces. I think she's amazing.
Yeah,
And
she's a very special lady.
and still teaching here in Midland, remote.
She is.
At Midland College. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That is fantastic because she is so smart too. Smart, beautiful. She's got it all. You did good, Larry. You did good. Okay, we're going to wrap things up with favorite nonprofit because we love to give back here at the Krista Escamilla Show. Our local nonprofits do so much for our community, as you know. Do you have a favorite nonprofit that maybe y'all have supported through the years that you just want to give them a shout out and say,
Sure.
Support if you can?
Yeah, and there are some fantastic ones, and I recommend, if pick a nonprofit and find a way to give back both your time and, the financial side of it, because there's from Meals on Wheels to all these different ones that do such a neat job. If you don't know, do it through United Way, because United Way vets them and does
Gets
it
them
that
all.
way.
Yeah.
But I would say Casa de Amigos.
It's a good one.
It's a fantastic nonprofit that serves so many different communities within Midland, and it's made such a huge difference in so many lives.
Yeah.
It has helped break the cycle of poverty,
Yeah.
by giving people a hand up,
Right.
and the different programs they do across Casa de Amigos, it's phenomenal the impact they've had. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank
if you
you.
don't know about Casa de Amigos, go research them because
Google it.
they're
Look it up.
fantastic.
That's
yeah,
right.
They're they
wonderful.
will be a good steward of your money.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed our talk today, Larry. It's been so fantastic hearing your journey, hearing about the International Oil Show, which of course you can go online to find out more if you want to be. It's probably you've already had to sign up to be a vendor, right, by this point, but you can still go be an attendee.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
So.
and you can pre-register before you get there, and it's free.
Yeah.
So.
I have one final question. First of all, is there anything? I always say that, and then I'm like, I have three other questions. Okay, two final questions. Is there anything coming into today's interview that maybe we didn't get to talk about that you feel is really important to your story, or that you wanted to say and that we didn't get to talk about?
Well, I think and we talked around it, but I do think for people considering going to the oil show, take the time to look at the videos to make it easy for yourself. But I truly believe it's such a great investment in people's time.
Yeah.
And go, go to the booth, ask questions. That's why they're there.
Right.
They're
They
not
want
just
to-
there to sell something. They're
Yeah.
excited about their technologies and their inventive, and they want to tell people about them.
Mm-hmm.
So go learn, even if you don't do completions. Go look at some of the completions equipment, find out what's cool and innovative happening in that space, and don't limit yourself just to what niche you're in today, because in this industry, you're gonna be in a different niche.
Yeah.
5 years from now, and another one 5 years from that, and being able to understand all those different elements, and do it on the exact absolute leading edge of what's happening in our industry, it's a unique opportunity to do that. So take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to learn to pivot in this industry for sure. So my final two questions.
This is no more quotes. I'm good.
No more quotes. You're good. What advice would you give to someone that's you're now just leaving the industry, right? You're exiting, you're retiring. You have so much knowledge. What advice would you give to someone that is just stepping in for the first time and they're newbies, maybe in their first 0 to 5 years? What one piece of advice do you think would really help them be successful like you've been?
I think, and you're not good at having just one question.
I
I'm
know.
not real good at limiting to one answer, so I might take some liberties. But I think that there's never been a better opportunity, a better time to enter our industry. The opportunities for young people today are just fantastic in our niche, and are going to be for a very long time. My first petroleum engineering course at A&M, he asked how many of us wanted to serve, internationally, and however many raised their hand. And he's like, well, if you didn't raise your hand, you need to get out of this class because there's not going to be any commercially viable domestic oil to produce in the United States by the time you graduate. And that was 35 years ago. So he was wrong.
Right.
And anyone that says it's not going to exist 10 years from now, they're wrong.
They're wrong too.
Until somebody figures out fusion on a local basis, then they're wrong.
Yeah.
But take the opportunity to learn, to try new things. So many people want to start their own business too early. Go figure out who you most respect and is best in what niche you want to be in, and go work for them for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're going to make mistakes. It's not a bad idea to make them with other people's money, for
idea.
that first, few years, because you're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
When you're my age, I used to tell our guys at Van Zandt, you don't have enough authority to make as big a mistake as I make every quarter. So, but if you're not ever making any mistakes, you're not pushing,
That's right.
the envelope enough. But take that opportunity and don't get hung up on the title or how much your money you're making, that first or even 5 or even 10 years, because you're getting this wealth of experience that then you're going to bank off of for the whole rest of your career.
Yeah.
And don't underestimate that and the relationships that you build. That and honoring your word. It's so important in this industry, and it's probably in all industries, but I don't know that, but I can tell you in this industry,
It is.
If you honor your word, and you really, even when it's difficult, everybody can honor their word when it's easy.
Right.
But when it's difficult or it costs a bunch of money or whatever, and you still honor your word, it'll differentiate you, and opportunities will open up that'll repay you 10 times over.
I love it. Good advice, Larry, and good answers. This is the final question. Let's conclude with, what do you want your legacy to be? When you think back, like what you did here in West Texas and in the oil and gas industry, what do you hope your legacy will be?
Wow. I don't know that I've had or will have an impact enough to have a legacy, but what my hope is that I've been a good husband and a good father, and can be proud of the work I've done for my family, and that I've made a positive impact on people's lives that have worked with me and for me, and changed that arc a little bit in their career or in their livelihoods, or what that means to their families,
Right.
and that they're able to then do that again for the people that work with them.
Pay it forward.
And pay it forward. And if some people haven't, and I've always separated politics from any work, but I don't separate God, because I gave my life to Christ a long, long time ago, and it's a decision I've never looked back on. And I think that hopefully some of the people I've worked with, I don't talk about it a lot, but they see through your actions, and they're like, wow, this is a really cool, neat environment to work in, and
Right.
everybody really cares about each other, and and people love each other here,
Right.
and really
It's
do care
real.
about each other,
It's
and it's
real.
real.
Yeah.
And why is that unique? And if they get a chance to maybe scratch their head and say, maybe being a follower of Christ has a little piece of that, then I'll take that as about the biggest win I could get.
That's awesome. Well, job well done, because I feel like you've done that for sure.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry Richards, for being with us today, sharing your story, sharing great pieces of advice for the. I mean, really, if you are in any business, really, this advice I think will carry over. I think it'll help you and be successful in achieving your dreams and goals. So please share this with someone that you think should listen today. But I cannot thank you enough for your time today. So thank you
so much for the
Thank
opportunity.
you. And I hope that all of you are going to just take what Larry said, use it in your life, and once again, share this with someone that you feel could be inspired by today, because that's our goal here, right? What is our goal here at the Krista Escamilla Show? I want to see all of your dreams come true. I want you to dream big. It says it right here, believe and never give up, right? And you can do those three things, and you can live your best life, and all that you want it to be can happen. But it's by choices and making your list, right? Your action. Yeah. Don't forget your action list. But I really hope that for each and every one of you. I also want to thank our sponsors before we leave. Special thank you to Kevin Foreman of Foreman Financial, Tapestry Hotel Midland, Rig ID Workwear, Midland Cap Company, ThinFR, and JoinCapClub.com. Remember, support local. We are all in this together here in West Texas, and we want to support each other. I want to see you win. I want to see everybody win. And we can all do that by supporting each other and lifting each other up. So with that said, we're done. This is the conclusion. Thanks again, Larry. Thank you for your time. And don't forget to dream big, believe. Say it with me. Say it with me at home. Dream big, believe, and never give up. You make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.